Happy birthday, President Obama. I didn't realize that we're the same age. He's 59, I'm 59. He turns 60 tomorrow, Wednesday. And of course, now there's controversy surrounding the fact that there's a big birthday bash that he's hosting for himself at his Martha's Vineyard estate. That'll be this weekend with staff. We're talking 700 people. And some are crying foul. Some see hypocrisy in this. I don't see it. The survey question today at Smerconish.com asks, is it appropriate for President Obama to host a large birthday event in the midst of the Delta variant surge? And mine will be a yes vote, meaning it is appropriate. I know that on Fox, and I know that in the New York Post, this is the stuff of controversy, but, well, here's an example. Republican Elise Stefanik, who is the chair of the House Republican Conference, is quoted in the New York Post as saying, Democrats are imposing unscientific mask mandates while contemplating more lockdowns. Meanwhile, President Obama is hosting over 500 elites at his Martha's Vineyard mansion. If you or I did that, it would be called a super spreader event by the Democrats. Typical liberal, do as I say, not as I do. This is what socialism looks like. I don't know what it has to do with socialism. I concede that if 700 people were coming to Bedminster, which is Donald Trump's golf course in New Jersey, there would be a hue and cry about it. I acknowledge that there would be a double standard among some in terms of how they're looking at it. But as I understand the way this event is going to be carried out, outdoors, fully vaccinated, testing, a medical professional on site, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, here's a way of looking at it. If you were invited, and forget that it's President Obama because this becomes a referendum very quickly on what you think of him. In the same way that if it were Trump, it would be a referendum on what you think of Trump. So forget about it for a moment. Instead, let's assume you're invited to a big wedding and the facts are otherwise the same. There'll be 500 guests. There'll be 200 support staff. There will be a medical professional. There's a requirement of vaccination, and there will be testing in addition. Are you going to that wedding? I mean, my calculus is as follows. First of all, I want to know, what do the CDC guidelines say? So I pulled the CDC guidelines. We're all aware of the fact that very recently the CDC began saying for indoor events in hotspots, and Martha's Vineyard is not a hotspot. Yes, I'm aware of what happened in Provincetown, but Martha's Vineyard is not at this time a hotspot. And this is not an indoor event. For indoor events in hotspots, in lay terms, you ought to be masked. That's what the CDC is saying. That doesn't seem to apply to this circumstance. My own calculus for this event, and for a big wedding, if someone were to invite me to one, would be, well, I'm vaccinated, and therefore it's very unlikely that I'm going to contract COVID. I am vaccinated because vaccination is my protection against serious illness, hospitalization, and death. I know that masks prevent transmission, but really the game here is getting people vaccinated. So if I were invited to an event of this size, I would say, well, I'm vaccinated. It's very unlikely that I'm going to get it. And everyone who will be there is similarly vaccinated or very recently tested. If I do get a breakthrough, despite being vaccinated, chances are I'm not going to have symptoms. Chances are that I'm not going to transmit it. And overwhelming chances are that if I get it, I am not going to be hospitalized and I'm not going to die. Having said that, I recognize a very small chance that I could transmit it to someone else. If I transmit it to a person who has made a conscious decision not to get vaccinated, I don't know that I'm feeling all that much sympathy for them. If I transmit it to someone who's a child, that would be a shame, but very rare that children are suffering grave consequences from contracting COVID. I would be worried that I would transmit it to someone immunocompromised, but again, very, very small odds. Not enough reason for us to be in a lockdown and not enough reason for me to stay away from a big event. I'd be a hypocrite if I said I wouldn't go to that party. I mean, I'm going to Dead & Company in 3 or so weeks at Citizens Bank Park, and I think the crowd size will be 40,000. In the pit, you have to show proof of vaccination. I'm a couple of rows right behind the pit, and thus far no one's imposed on me a requirement of any kind. So I think President Obama is going about this in a reasonable way, and I don't have a problem with it. He may succumb to all the bad press and optic pressure that he's receiving, but I think it's okay for him to have the party, and if I were invited, I'd probably go. That's the survey question today at Smerconish.com. Is it appropriate for President Obama to host a large birthday event in the midst of the Delta variant surge? Yes, is my answer. Go get vaccinated.